Okay, this question says solve log to the base 2 of 2 sine x plus log to the base 2 of cos x is equal to -1 for x is between 2 pi and 5 pi over 2. Now the way we go about this is we're going to use some log laws. So first thing we're going to say is that we can rewrite this log to the base 2 sine x plus log to the base 2 of cos x as log to the base 2 of 2 sine x and then multiplied by cos x, because when you have add things logs, it's the same as multiplying the things inside the log, so like that, and that will equal -1. Then what I'm going to do is raise this side to the power of 2 and raise this side to the power of 2, so I'm going to have 2 to the power of log 2 of 2 sine x cos x is equal to 2 to the power of -1. Then 2 to the power of log 2 is the same thing, so this is going to then be 2 sine x cos x is equal to 1/2. Now, what I need to do next is recognise that this is the double angle formula. So double angle formula says that 2 sine x cos x is equal to sine 2x. So I can then replace this with sine 2x, so I can say sine 2x is equal to 1/2. Now in a position to work out what this is. So we should know the inverse sine of a half is 30 degrees or pi over 6. So that would mean that sine 2x is equal to pi over 6. I'm going to work this out in radians since the question has given us radians here. Now that would be one value for sine x, and we should know, if I just do a little sketch here of sine wave is like that. Now when sine is a half, that's going to be along here. So we're going to need various values here. So this value here is the one we've got, which is pi over 6. The sine wave crosses here at pi and crosses here at 2 pi. So that's this value here is pi over 6. We're going to want this value here, this one here, which is going to be pi minus pi over 6, or it's going to be 5 pi over 6. So that would be another value. Then the next one down here would just be, this recycle repeats every 2 pi, so I could then add 2 pi to this value and would give me this one, add 2 pi to this one would give me this one, and so on. So 2 pi is equal to 12 pi, or is equal to 12 pi over 6, so I can just add 12 pi to the top. So the next one would then be 13 pi over 6, and the one after that would be 17 pi over 6, and so on. So then I could add 13 pi add 12 would be 25 pi over 6, and add another 12 pi would be to the 17 would be 29 pi over 6. Now the reason I've gone so far is because this is 2x, and then to work out x we're going to need to divide them there. So I've actually written that wrong, haven't I? That should say 2x, not sine 2x. So 2x is equal to all these things, which means that x will equal to all of those things but divide by 12. So x would equal pi over 12, 5 pi over 12, 13 pi over 12, 17 pi over 12, 25 pi over 12, 29 pi over 12. Now, ones that we need, if we go back and look at the original question, it says between 2 pi and 5 pi over 2. So if I change those into over 12, 2 pi would be the same as 24 pi over 12, and this one would be multiplied by 6 would be 30 pi over 12. So I need solutions that are between 24 pi over 12 and 30 pi over 12. So if I come down here, I can see that between 24 and 30 pi are these two, this one and this one. So final solutions are solutions in range 25 pi over 12 and 29 pi over 12. This question says, a city hired 160 employees to work at a festival. Following cumulative frequency curve shows the number of hours employees worked during the festival. Then part A says, part 1, find the median number of hours worked by the employees. Alright, so we can see we've got the cumulative frequency graph here. It's a bit hard to see the whole thing. We'll show you. So we've got the number of hours worked down here, and then we've got the number of employees on the y-axis here. So we're looking for the median number of employees. Sorry, we're looking for the median number of hours worked by the employees. So what we do is we look here for the total number of employees, which is 160, and then the median number of hours would occur for halfway through the employees. So this is the curve here. So we do find half the number of employees, which will be at 80. So this would be half the number of employees here, because there are 160, half 160 is 80. And then what we do is we draw a line across at 80 until we hit the curve, and then we draw a line down from the curve down there, and we can see that the median number of hours worked would be 40. Alright, next it says write down the number of employees who worked 50 hours or less. So in this one we would work at the same idea but work backwards. So here we've got the number of hours worked, so we'd find 50 because that's what we're talking about, and then we'd track along the 50 line until we hit the curve. So along here like so. Need to go just a little bit further till there, and then I can go across there, and I can read that from the scale, and I can see that that's 130 employees. So that equals 130 employees. Okay, let's see what's next. So then it says the city paid each of the employees £8 per hour for the first 40 hours worked, and £10 per hour for each hour they worked after the first 40. And then B says find the amount of money an employee earned for working, and then first of all 40 hours. So 40 hours, we just need to use this information here. So it says that they're paid £8 per hour for the first 40 hours. So for 40 hours it's just going to be 8 times 40, which is going to be £320. Alright, so then next it says for 43 hours. So now what we need to do is to consider that there's two pay rates. So it says £8 per hour for the first 40 hours, and then £10 per hour for each hour they worked after the first 40 hours. So it's going to be 40 hours times 8, and then plus 3 hours times 10. Because they worked 40 hours at £8 up to the first 40 hours, and then there would be 3 extra hours after the 40 to get to 43 that they'd work at 10. Then we'd add those together. So that's going to give me 320 plus 30, which is going to give me £350. Alright, next C says find the number of employees who earned £200 or less. So what we're going to need to do for C is we're going to work out £200 and work out how many hours that is. So we're going to do £200 divided by £8 per hour to work out how many hours they worked. So 200 divided by 8 is going to give me 25 hours. And then we can use the cumulative frequency graph like we did with the 50 to work out how many earned £200 or less or work for 25 hours. So I come up here, I find 25 on the number of hours scale, and then I draw a line up to the curve and then across like so, and I can see that that is 18 hours. So, sorry, 18 employees. So then from the graph, employees. Alright, finally part D. It says only 10 employees earned more than K pounds. Find the value of K. Alright, so what we need to do here then, only 10 employees earned more than the value of K. So we know there were 160 employees altogether. So if only 10 of them earned the highest amount, then only 10 of them must have worked the most hours. So what we do is we go across at 150 and find out how many hours that was. So if I draw a line across at 150, oh, I haven't used the line tool there, let's try that again, and then come down here, a bit further down, I can see that the top 10 people worked 60 hours. So top 10 people worked 60 hours. So then I'm going to need to work out how much money they'd get for 60 hours. So I'm going to do this just the same as I did in part B2 here. So 60 hours is they're going to earn 40 times £8 per hour, and then plus the remaining 20 at £10 per hour. So that's going to be, this is 320, this is 200, so the answer is going to be £520. So that's K.